Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Ron. Got a good question this week. It's from a guy named Darkvis Demeski. And he writes, for calves, more reps, less weight, or more weight, less reps for optimal development and growth. How many exercises are necessary to hit from all the angles and how many times per week? So calves, if I really wanted to do a clickbait video and get more views, I would have titled this How to Get Huge Calves, but that would be so irresponsible. So irresponsible. Because let me give you the bad news first. The bad news is calves are largely genetic, meaning everyone that you see with truly awesome calves, huge calves, just to run down some names, the late Mike Matarazzo, Ben Pekulski had some enormous calves, Mike Francois, Mr. Olympia 1982, Chris Dickerson, Eric Fankhauser, Flex Lewis. Anybody you see who has those enormous diamond-shaped calves, that's genetics. And to be more specific, they have long calf muscles. So everyone has an origin and an insertion for every muscle group. For calves, the origin is right under the knee, the back of your knee. That's where the muscle starts, and it'll insert at some point between there and your heel. If it's much closer to the knee, just like a couple inches under the knee, you just don't have enough muscle cells to build, to develop. Even if you develop those muscle cells that you have to their maximum, it's not enough. It's not going to be much in terms of volume. You're not going to have a lot of mass there. But if you have, is that thunder? If you have calves that go much closer to the ankle, Dorian Yates is another example, you're going to have enormous calves even if you do no training for them ever in your life. And most of the people with these truly impressive calves, they've never done anything for them. They've never done calf raises. Maybe they've messed around and did a few exercises, but for the most part they realize their calves are already huge, so why would they spend time training them and get them even more ridiculous looking, where they would throw off their proportions and just look silly, which they have the potential to do. These are some of these people we're talking about, 21 inch calves, and they don't train them. Good example, when I trained with Dorian back in 2010, he did train calves when he was competing, but he did very little for them, honestly. I think he did a couple work sets on a standing calf raise a week, with very heavy weight, mind you, but still. Once a week, a couple work sets. That's all he did. But he had retired in 97. He had not done a single calf raise since then, he told me. He still had, and still has today, even though overall he's a much smaller person, he still has enormous calves, much bigger than most bodybuilders who train the shit out of them. So long calves versus short calves. I have noticed, and I'll get into it. I'll be that guy. It does seem to play along to racial / ethnic lines quite a bit. There's quote unquote white people, whatever that even means these days. You'll see some white people with big calves, a lot of white people without calves. I've noticed a lot of Koreans and Japanese, especially the bodybuilders, but even just normal people walking around, they have pretty good calf development. Just because they have low calves, they have long calf muscles that insert low. So I don't think I've ever seen a Japanese bodybuilder or Korean. Forget about bodybuilding, even like the physique competitors, the figure women. I've never seen them with skinny calves, not once. African Americans, you see a lot of very small calves because their calves are short. They insert very high, closer to the knee than to the heel. Why? I don't know. People have come up with these wacky theories about the different kinds of terrain, and someone had to run, and I don't know. Who knows? It doesn't matter, because whatever it is, it's if that's the case, it happened over many thousands of years of evolution. There's nothing you're going to do about it now. So your calf muscle length is what it is, okay? So the potential size definitely is dependent on that. If you have long calf muscles, you definitely have the potential for far greater calf mass, much more massive calves than somebody with much shorter calves. Okay, so I've got all the bad news out of the way. Good news is Anybody who hasn't really put the time and effort in, and I'd say this includes most people, you can improve your calves. You can get them to grow. Doesn't mean, I'm not saying you're going to get 20-inch calves, 21-inch calves, but maybe you have 13-inch calves now and you've sort of given up on them. You've tried training them and you didn't see much in the way of results, so either you stop training them completely or you just do a few sets here and there when you think of it, when you remember, because, you figure I'm not going to get calves anyway, why bother? I kind of liken it to income or wealth. A lot of people, I'd say the majority of people, I'm going to include myself in this, a lot of us could be making more money, could have accrued more wealth if that had been more of a priority, if we'd put the time and effort into it, if we had tried many different strategies and paid close attention to which strategies were working, producing results, and which ones weren't, and discarding things that weren't working and trying things until we figured out the things that work best for us. Because I would say that you do have to try a lot of different things. There's no one formula. There's no one workout. If anyone ever says they have the workout to give you better calves, they're full of shit. Anybody can come up with a good workout that hits the two different parts of the calf, the two main muscle groups, which are the gastrocnemius and the soleus. Anybody with a little bit of training experience can come up with a pretty decent routine that's going to give you some results. But nobody has the answer, the best. That's like saying there's one best leg workout that's going to give everybody the best results, or one best arm workout or way to train arms that's going to give you the best results versus every other workout out there. It's just bullshit. But I do see a lot of mistakes with calves. The first one is not training them. Obviously, if you don't train them, they can't grow. You never gave them a chance to grow. The other one is training them at the very end of a leg workout. So you just did, everything you do for quads and hams. Maybe you did squats, leg presses, hack squats, leg curls, leg extensions, lunges. You've been training legs for an hour, 90 minutes maybe, and now, okay, let's do some calves. How much energy, how much attention, how much focus and concentration you really think you're going to be able to devote to your calves after that? At that point in the workout, after a full leg workout, most people are just ready to go home or just get their post-workout shake and get the hell out of there. But no, I got to do some calves. And they just don't have it, mentally or physically. They're fatigued and they're just not there anymore. So I would suggest either training them first on leg day or first on some other day. Do them before chest, before back, before arms. Or if you're coming in on an off day for cardio or something, do calves first. A lot of people are hesitant to do calves before the rest of legs, before quads and hams. But give it a try. You'll notice it's not going to take away anything from your leg workout. It's not like, you fatigue your calves and now you can't do leg presses, you can't squat. Of course you can. They'll be a little pumped and sore, but you can certainly still train legs. And you're better off because now you've trained them fresh when your reserves are at their highest levels, rather than do a little bullshit job on them when you're already exhausted. So that's one thing. Train them when you're fresh, either on leg day or some other day when you can really put the energy into them. Range of motion. Such a common mistake. A lot of people don't realize you need to get a full stretch. So here's the platform, okay? Here's your foot. You need to come down, get a stretch. The heel has to come down below the platform until you feel a full stretch in the calf. Then you need to come up and flex, contract the calf completely. That's a full rep. Instead, I see people doing these little bouncy reps. There's a time and place for those, and it's when you've fatigued and can't do any more full range of motion reps. But if all you ever do are little tiny quarter reps, half reps, of course you're never going to get the results. That's like if you're doing curls, would you only just do little reps? I guess some people would. But no, you're supposed to go all the way down, all the way up, contract. You're supposed to get a full range of motion. Same with chest, for the most part. Most exercises, you understand that you need a full range of motion to work the muscle completely. So for calves, you want that full range of motion. Another thing that you can do, and you should do, is do regular speed reps, let's call them standard reps, but also do reps where you emphasize either the stretch or the contraction or both. So what I mean by that is come down and count, get into the full stretch of a calf raise, any kind of calf raise. 1, 2, 3 to 5 seconds, count. Then come up, but you hold that stretch for 3 to 5 seconds. Same thing with the contraction. You can come up, hold it in the contraction. 1, 2, 3, then come back down. So you're emphasizing different portions of the rep. These are just ways to make the rep more intense, because calves, they are very resistant to growth. It's a very, very dense muscle group because we walk on our calves all the time. The two things that everybody uses, whether you do any kind of workout or not, unless you're like bedridden or something, is your calves. You're always walking around somewhere, even if it's not stairs, but just walking around, your body weight is on your calves. You've probably noticed a lot of obese people have pretty large calves because they're walking around, they're constantly putting that stress. The calves have to work, work, work. So I've seen a lot of obese people, and it's funny, sometimes the calves aren't, they're fairly lean compared to the rest of these people's bodies. Sometimes they're not. But you can see there's a ton of muscle. Their calves are enormous. And that's why. It's because they're walking around on them all day. Forearms are the same way. Even if you never do a single exercise for your forearms directly, they're gripping everything. Every bar that you grip onto, every pulley, everything, every handle, you have to really grip, pull, push. So your forearms are always working indirectly. And the same with the calves. There's no way you can train your legs with things like squats, leg presses, hack squats, lunges, without involving the calves. Deadlifts, all those things involve the calves. And how do you know this? If you ever tear a calf, and I have years ago, you'll realize just how involved they are in everything you do. You can't really walk. You certainly can't train legs with a torn calf, at least on that leg. So you want to do that. You want to try. Okay, so let's get back into the types of exercise you need to do. You don't need a ton of different exercises. The calves are pretty simple, biomechanically speaking. So you have the gastrocnemius is the larger muscle, that diamond-shaped muscle that you see on the outside. Should be diamond-shaped. That can be trained with anything where your knees are locked, where your legs are completely straight and locked. So standing calf raise is the most common thing you can train, the most common exercise to train them in that function. You can also do calf raises on a leg press. Some people call those toe presses. You can do them on a hack squat if you have that platform that allows you to get the stretch and contraction. I've even done them on seated bench press machines that have a foot pedal. The foot pedal is supposed to help you if you're stuck to spot yourself, but I've used that too. If you get creative, there are a lot of ways you can train it. The soleus is a spade-shaped muscle that's underneath, so you can't see it unless you slice open your calf, like an autopsy or something. That is only trained when your legs are bent, which is why we do seated calf raises for them. As far as sets and reps, it's a high endurance muscle. It can take a lot of work, and I don't think a couple sets is going to cut it for most people. So I would do one exercise for the gastrocnemius and one for the soleus. Probably do about 4 or 5 sets each. I would do all kinds of reps. I've heard in the past. I remember the late Charles Poliquin used to espouse that the soleus was more slow twitch muscle. Fast twitch muscle. So he advocated lower reps for it, like 8 to 10, 8 to 12. Whereas the gastrocnemius, the larger muscle, was more slow twitch muscle. So you want to do higher reps for that. I don't know if that's entirely true. No one's ever done studies on this. They're never going to, because why would they? What's the payoff? So I would use a wide range of reps. I would go as low as 6 to 8. I would go as high as 30, 40, 50 reps. And you can do that in standard. You can use the same weight and do all 50 reps with the same weight. Maybe you have to pause a couple times, catch your breath, and let the lactic acid clear. Or you could do it in a drop set fashion. So if you're doing, standing calf raise, let's say you can do 300 pounds for 10 reps on that in good form, full range of motion. You fail at 300, take out the pin, put it in 200, get another 10, 12 reps to failure. Take that out, put it on 120 or something, get as many as you can. Maybe you get 10, 12, 15 reps, and they'll be burning. And I would also follow up every calf workout with stretch. So get on a block, let your calf stretch, put all your weight on one calf at a time, hold that for a count of 30, do the same thing to the other side. These things all help. Anything you can do to get blood in there, get a good pump. You do want to get stronger over time. A stronger muscle in hypertrophy rep range is a bigger muscle. But never increase the weight or use more weight at the expense of form. If you can't get full range of motion, there's no point in putting the whole stack on a calf raise if you can't do a full rep. If you're only getting little choppy reps, take some weight off, do it right. Honestly, there's no one's gonna be impressed at how much weight you can use on a calf raise anyway. Nobody cares. How often to work calves? I I wouldn't do them once a week. I don't think that's enough because they are a dense muscle that's used to a lot of work. So I would do them, let's say, 2 to 3 times a week. I don't believe in doing them every day. I have heard people that have done that and they claim they've had success with it. You can try that. Maybe it'll work. If it doesn't work, cut back. Cut back to 4 times a week. If that doesn't work, cut down to 3. Twice a week, I believe, is probably the minimum, though. I think they do recover. Unless you haven't trained them very hard ever, and you do that for the first time and they get really sore, you do want to wait until the soreness is gone before you hit them again. But for the most part, you can probably train them 2 or 3 times a week. So you can either do both of those exercises, both of those types of exercises, one with the straight leg, one with the bent leg, each time, or you can alternate. So, I've had a lot of success doing it every other day, where, say it's Monday, I'll work the gastrocnemius. I'll do standing calf raises or calf raises on leg press. Wednesday, 2 days later, 48 hours later, I'll just do the seated calf raise machine. I don't think it makes a big difference. The point is, you have to put in the time and the effort. You have to believe it's going to work. If you have this mentality where you've already given up, you've already failed because you don't believe it's possible. You're already defeated because you believe none of the work you're putting in, none of the effort's going to matter. Your calves aren't going to grow anyway. If you take that attitude, I guarantee you're never really going to put forth the proper amount of effort, and you're not going to do it right because you don't believe the results are going to happen. So you do have to have some faith, as crazy as that might sound to some of you. So that's been my spiel on how to get bigger calves. Again, I couldn't call this how to get huge calves because that would be a big lie. Some of you are never going to get huge calves, but I believe that if you have very small calves and you've never really devoted the time and effort into trying to make them grow, I'm very certain that you can get some more growth out of them. You can get bigger calves. You just have to apply yourself. That's all. So thanks for watching. Please follow me on Instagram at Ron Harris Muscle. Ron Harris Muscle. Thanks for watching Ask Ron. If you have any questions for the next Ask Ron, please leave them in the comments below. I will get to them and indicate whether you want your name used or not. I had a gentleman from India who we had to re-edit and delete the old video and re-edit it because he was so embarrassed that I used his question. So let me know if you don't want your name used. How's that? Thanks for watching. See you next time.